Welcome, everybody, to Applicant to Alumni, a podcast that we've just started. We're on our second episode, and my name is Mark Reddy, and I'm the Vice President of Enrollment Management at Olivet Nazarene University.
And I'm Joel Johnson, Vice President of College Relations at Crown College. And again, we want to thank you so much for joining us on episode number 2 of Applicant to Alumni. So we've already received feedback, one episode, and we've had some pretty elite people at some great Christian colleges and universities around the country reach out with something. So Mark,
Yes.
What are we talking about today?
You know, it's exciting that we had a podcast and we were talking about some things that we're both passionate about, and some people listened and gave us some great feedback. So one of the things that I heard from multiple people was this idea of, they liked the idea of looking at the applicant to alumni and that whole relationship. But what they pointed out was that there's also probably an underrepresented area of that, and that being the student that's in a non-traditional program, a master's program that's still very much affiliated with the university, and they still are a student, and they are still going to graduate, and they're still going to be alumni. So this idea of, you know, we think about the college admissions process all the way through to graduation, you think trad, right? So the idea that you
said trad there.
Yeah.
In case someone's not in admissions, what does that mean?
Well, that's great. I'm glad you asked.
Well,
the traditional thinking of a student that decides that they want to attend college and they go to a campus and they have a quote unquote traditional experience.
So it's your 17, 18-year-old coming in 4 years of school.
Exactly. And so when you think non-trad, it's something that's different than that. It's an online experience. It's a graduate program, something like that. But still, extremely important student, still having a great experience. And it's this area that I think probably is underrepresented. So when I heard multiple people talking about that in response to just this idea of the applicant to alumni, I thought, man, that's a great topic. I think we should talk about that right away. So that's where that stemmed from.
So this is your kind of area of expertise. So we're defaulting to you today. But in this non-traditional, we're looking at anybody mid-20s through really any age.
Exactly.
With still the possibility of building a lifetime relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you think about just the whole recruitment process, so the beginning of applicant, when you're talking about a traditional student who's looking at on-campus 4-year experience, it's kind of easy to identify them, right? They're coming out of high school. You know, kind of a segment of that might be the transfer student who does have a year or two of college under their belt, but they're looking to get, go somewhere else. But the non-trad, it can be anybody, right? It can evolve into that 17-year-old who says, I want to be online. I want that kind of experience. It can be somebody that has, they want to complete their degree, you know, so it's a 30-year-old who has a career and a family, and they just decide they want to do that. So it's a totally different segment, but it's still relational. And I think that's probably part of it, that you still have this opportunity to build that relationship from that point forward. And I think all too often, especially, you know, when we're talking about the non-traditional student, we think, well, the way that we'll reach them is digital marketing. You know, we're gonna do an email campaign, and we're gonna have them talk to chatbots, and we're gonna use AI, artificial intelligence, and that's how we're going to try and create that relationship. But I think what I would do is I would reinforce that that's an important part of all of it. But I really think you got to stop and look at how do you build relationships for students that you do want to create a lasting lifetime experience with. And I would say philosophically, I really believe that it's creating relationships as much as you can in person, you know, so it's a lot of those types of things. So I think that when you deal with this non-traditional crowd, all too often we almost take away some of the basic principles of recruiting and how do you have those relationships.
Right. And I know for me, when I was an alumni director, the school I was at, we had over 200 extension sites. Well, that's a non-traditional student, even though they might be 18 years old.
Right.
They're taking classes through a school, but at an off-campus, off-traditional campus site at a church or a district headquarters or something. And one of my difficulties was, how do I help them to feel connected to the university as a whole?
Right.
And we had to shift mindset to think of, well, let's get them to connected to the main campus. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Unless you find a way to get them to come, maybe take a class on campus. So we had to shift mindset, and we created a mindset of the university is not just the original campus.
Right.
The university is wherever it is.
Yeah.
So we found ways to connect them after school in our free alumni association, our mentoring program. We created our own little version of LinkedIn for just alumni of that school. So there's different ways to do it, but I think the non-traditional, it's not something that's normally thought of for creating a lifetime relationship.
Right. And it's tough because you have to almost switch your thinking and start thinking outside of the box. And when you still want them to have the relationship, and ultimately, regardless of how somebody comes into your program and when they graduate, you want them to feel like they are a part of that university. You want them to feel proud to be an alumni. So when you have something special that's happening at the university, whether it's an athletic team that's going far or a program that is being highlighted, you want them to feel like, hey, that's my university.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to do that in the non-traditional sense as well.
Right. So can I ask you a question that we've not talked about ahead of time?
Definitely.
Okay. So a traditional student gets accepted. Many schools, and I don't know if yours does this or not, do they get something in the mail like that, I got accepted, or ONU said yes, box that you send them?
Yeah, so we do the acceptance letter. We have some different things too, where if they're on social media, we'll hit up them on social media, and they get some things that they can share. But we also have an acceptance box that just has some cool swag in it and some different things. I think we do different things. One year we had a roll banner that said, I'm a Tiger, and it's different things that are kind of cool that immediately affiliate them with the university. So before they've stepped on campus as a student, we want them to feel like they're already part of us. That's
awesome. Now here's where you're going to get put on the spot, because I do not know the answer to your question. So
this bad if you were a lawyer.
Right. So what do you do for the non-traditional student? Should a school send them the same thing to help create that identity right away? Many schools don't. They get like an official letter,
right?
Because they're often more grown up, more mature.
Yeah.
That anybody listening couldn't see my quotations.
Right. There. The air quotes there. They don't do
much
learning. Good when
we're learning. But do we find a way to treat them the same way, or give them as similar an experience as possible?
Yeah, I definitely think so. So where we're at right now at my university, we're going in that direction.
Yeah.
We're graduating to that. Right now, we do a lot where we're doing in person. We're delivering care packages and gift bags and things like that. And so in the non-traditional sense, when you're recruiting people, like say for graduate programs, so many of them are professionals. So if it's an educational system, we're going to a school. If it's for nursing, we're going to the hospitals. We're trying to connect them because, even though, like you said, they're an older student maybe, or they're somebody in the profession, they still want to feel connected. They still want to feel like they're a part of something. And when you figure out how to do that, that's when you win. You don't want to just say, well, they're just getting a degree online, so they probably won't want this. I mean, I've never met anybody that doesn't want to feel connected to something.
Absolutely.
So the more that you can do that, in your traditional and your non-traditional setting, then I think here's a nice little softball for you. Then I think it lends itself to them being that lifelong, that person that's going to be way down the line.
And for the people on my end of the spectrum in advancement or college relations or development, whatever your school calls it, the non-traditional comes in at a later stage in life, often, not always, but they may be looking to upgrade a career path or whatever. And that relationship could lead to a donor sooner than your traditional student.
Right.
So, and that's a very real part of life for sure, for all of us. But I think the big thing out of this is be aware of your non-traditional student.
Right.
that it's a whole market that we have the opportunity to look into. Brilliant stuff, Mark. Awesome.
Well, I think it's kind of cool too, because one of the reasons we want to do this podcast, right, is because we are in a program that it's a graduate level program, and I feel very connected to the university. I feel proud that I am a part of that university. I work at Olivet, so I have to sometimes be sneaky with my mugs or my swag from my other school, but I'm proud of that. I already feel connected to them, and I think
that alumni director at that other school must have been generous.
He was awesome. Gave us some great stuff.
Mark and I were talking earlier today, and we realized that this is just a nugget for us to remember in Christian higher ed. We're in a very unique position where, as we're bringing in new students, as part of our jobs, we can pray for them every day. Now, if you're in a public university or a private non-Christian school, as an individual, you could pray for your prospective students. But we get to do this as part of our jobs, to pray for these young people and non-traditional students as they come through. So do remember that. Don't forget that. One thing we want to introduce, a little segment here, what not to do. So, Mark, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of things that I could cover right here, but just, I'll give a what not to do and then maybe a teaser for a future episode.
Okay. All right.
Definitely. So in the Office of Admissions, one of the things that we love are visit days, right? So we're bringing in students and their families from all over the country, and we're really trying to roll out the red carpet and let them see Olivet, be immersed in our university while they're on their visit. And there are times, though, that you can't accomplish that, right? You're going to do something wrong.
Yeah.
Here's what you don't want to do.
Okay.
When you have upset a parent, and there's a myriad of reasons why, but you've upset a parent, don't go talk to them when you're upset as well. So let's say you catch wind that something happened in their day and they're not pleased. And that might frustrate you that they're not pleased. And you can come up with all kinds of reasons why they should be pleased. That's not the time to have a conversation with that family. Not that I'm talking of personal experience. But
no, you heard about that. Yeah.
Yes. If that would have happened to me, I would have been very glad if one of my colleagues would have pointed out, just saying if this was me, that I probably shouldn't be the one to talk to them, and that they would go smooth things over. So don't address upset parents when you are also, in fact, upset.
Good one. That's a great one.
And then let me throw out what would be a good teaser here. Don't assume. Don't assume. I'll just leave it right there.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely a teaser for the future. I have one in alumni and college relations. A school I worked at in the past, which I won't name, had an alum come back, drop off his son, move in weekend, and was living in the dorm he lived in as a student.
That's exciting.
Well, yes, very cool. Great feeling. The alum had been extremely successful in his own business, and he noticed the dorm needed an upgrade. Awesome.
Right.
Approached an administrator at the school, and said, "Hey, I've got a significant amount of money I would like to give you to redo this dorm." No brainer. Over and done right there, right?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
Here's what not to do. They said, "Well, that's great, but we're also raising money for a new chapel and fine arts building. Would you mind giving that gift to our chapel and fine arts building?"
No.
What do you think happened, Mark?
No money at all.
No money at all, loaded up his son and left.
Oh, man.
So not only did they not get the gift, they didn't get tuition money either.
That is definitely something you do not want to do.
Crazy stuff. So non-traditional students, they're going to be a part of this podcast moving forward.
Right.
We already had some listeners give us suggestions, but if a listener wants to do that, Mark, how can they get in touch with us?
You know what? They could email us at applicant2alumni@gmail.com. Applicant2alumni applicant2alumni@gmail.com. And we would love to hear your questions or your comments, and maybe some suggestions for some future episodes.
Love it. So it's easy to remember. There's two of us.
Right?
Number two, right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
It's like we were trying to be clever or something. So they can send that to us. So, hey, episode number 2, we've done it. We're moving.
Feels good.
So thank you everybody for joining us on Applicant to Alumni.
Building a journey that lasts a lifetime. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.